What's going on, guys? So this particular week, I reached back for a few different things that I haven't worn in quite some time. There's also a few new additions to the collection. There's a first timer that we're going to start off on Sunday. It's just been, as per usual, a lot of variety in this particular week rotation, but some of these that, dare I say, are modern classics. Some from the 90s, some from the late 2000s, early 2000 teens, and such, that I think are some modern classic scent profiles for this time of year, for the fall season. And it's week number 147, and I want to talk to you about them, so stay tuned. Starting off on Sunday is the newest release from City Rhythm Fragrance. Yes, Niles has been releasing one after another here lately, and we are talking about Tempo, newest from his Movement collection, I believe is what it's called. This is a gorgeous, fresh, floral, soft, creamy, and powdery fragrance. Definitely easygoing, much more dense and creamy than I would ever want for the warm weather. Perfect for the fall season. I know this is more his, like I said, movement, workout, fitness, active wear type of scents, but this one I see more as a daytime casual wear. I've only worn it the one time. I did do a first impressions review, then I wore it the following day, and this is absolutely lovely. This is the best of the three. There's Rhythm, Pulse, which one of them's been reformulated. I haven't tried the new formulation. I think it's Rhythm they got reformulated, but Rhythm and Pulse are good. This is better. This is the one to get. Obviously, I would recommend getting a sample. Don't just blind buy this bottle. But check the notes online. If you check cityrhythmfragrance.com, they'll have the full note breakdown. Like I said, it's got a little bit of citrus. There's a nice floral tone here, almost a pink and yellow floral hit, but it doesn't smell very feminine. A little bit of a fruity sweetness, kind of fruity floral type of thing going on here, but not feminine fruity floral, at least not to me. And then, like I said, this soft, powdery, creamy, and woody tone to this fragrance. It's just very soothing, very soft scent profile with a lot of power. It's not an abrasive scent, but it is strong. You don't need a lot of sprays of this. So when wearing down, I'll definitely give some more time to this one before I really go in depth on any reviews or anything like that. But during the day, City Rhythm Tempo. And then we got the shower. I was just in the mood for it. This is one of my go-tos for the gym. This is Kenneth Cold Blue. Can't go wrong here. Clean, fresh, aquatic. Kind of a cheaper take on Versace Mano Fresh. Nothing special here. But I'll tell you what, when you're on a budget, $20 or less, you want something that's just going to work for everything, Exhibit A, Kenneth Cold Blue. You can't go wrong here. This is the kind of fragrance I would recommend to somebody that's not heavily into fragrances. Younger folks, for example. Younger guys, teenage guys, early 20s that just want one or two fragrances. You know, they're going out fragrance, their everyday fragrance. Something like this can be your everyday fragrance for a very affordable price point. It smells good in the air. It's very inoffensive. It's got that aquatic summertime feel to it, and it's very cheap. This 50 ml plus a 30 ml in a bonus pack I paid for $20 at Walmart. Can't really beat that. I can't complain. Like I said, I love wearing this one to the gym. It's great out the shower. It's a great running errands type of fragrance as well. But I ended up rocking it out the shower on Sunday, Kenneth Cold Blue. Moving into Monday is one that's pretty new to the collection. I just did a full review on this one. Basically, Mercedes-Benz take on Dior Sauvage. It's Mercedes-Benz Man Blue. Now, this one can definitely work in the summer, but it works great in the fall as well. It's basically just kind of a sour, juicy bergamot smell. You get that peppery tone. A lot of soapy aromatics here. It still has that soapy shower gel smell. Even though there's no Ambroxan listed, it replicates Dior Sauvage Eau de Toilette pretty accurately. More of a rip-off clone than Prada Luna Rossa Carbon. Prada Luna Rossa Carbon is a little bit smoother overall, the way Prada does lavender. That's a smoother fragrance with a few more dark tone nuances in the dry down. That soil tincture note, for example, it provides this light earthy feel in the dry down. It's not exact one-to-one with Sauvage, whereas this they were going for that. It's not exactly 1-to-1, but they got pretty damn close for the most part. Performance is pretty good on this one as well. You can find this one for a bargain price point. This might be a good option for a lot of people. I'm glad to have it in my collection. Shout out to Jake Bates for sending this 50 ml over my way. Definitely been enjoying it. I've worn it a few times now. And during the day on Monday, that is what I wore. It's Mercedes-Benz Man Blue. Then when I got out the shower, this is definitely a classic fall scent profile. Spring, summer, fall. This is more of a 3-season fragrance in my mind. 90s classic. This was a hype beast in the early days of the online fragrance community. It's Moschino Womo. Not one that I have spent a ton of time with in a long time. I rebought this a few years ago. I had a very small bottle of it many moons ago when I was a much younger man, and I bought this. I wore it a couple of times, and it's been shelved for such a long time. This is beautiful. This has this nice, like, aquatic cyclamen floral type of note. There's a little bit of some kumquat freshness here for the citrus. Very clean, but different. It doesn't smell like everything else. It makes me think 90s, but not stereotypical 90s like Aqua de Jo, like CK1, like Boss Bottled. This kind of has its own little twist. This is a little bit more chic of a scent profile for what was kind of mainstream at that time, if you will. You can still get this in the $25 price point. Very cheap. I believe this is a 4.2 ounce bottle. Yeah, it's a big bottle, 125 ml. If you don't mind not having the cap, which I want the cap, you can save a few dollars, but my recommendation, spend the few bucks more and get the full presentation with the cap. It's just a good scent. Nothing special here in performance, 4 or 5 hour type of fragrance, but it is a little bit different, and it's versatile. It can do great daily casual, daily work scent, evenings out. It'll do fine for just about everything. Not something ideally I would want to go for the gym. This doesn't really give me much of a sporty, active type of vibe, but like I said, casually, just hanging out in a t-shirt, doing whatever. Some good stuff in the fall season. That's why I was happy to pull it out and out the shower. Moschino Womo. Moving into Tuesday. The name will make you think year-round, and I think this could definitely go year-round. It's got enough performance for the cold weather. It's not too heavy for the hot weather, but I think seasons like spring and especially fall really suit Habibi New York Sage and Citrus Oud. This is one that I haven't spent a ton of time with. I've only worn like twice prior to this. This is good stuff. It's as advertised minus the oud. There's oud in the note breakdown, but boy, you really got to look for it. There's just this little warm wood touch of oud in the backdrop as it starts to dry. Don't let the name oud fool you or scare you off if you're not a fan of oud. But beautiful hit of juicy citrus. The sage here is not overdone. It's not too heavy of a blue fragrance vibe. It's not reminiscent of sage heavy fragrances like YSL. It doesn't give off the Eros feel. It's familiar, but I can't really pinpoint it smelling like one particular fragrance. Niche quality. This stuff's a little over $100 for these 75 ml bottles. This is a locally owned if you're in New York, niche boutique that makes these fragrances. I have a discovery set from them as well. White Moroccan Leather is another one that's a beautiful fragrance. I'd like to get a bottle of that. But this stuff right here, as safe, easygoing, and versatile as it comes, there's some fresh, spicy tones here. There's some softer woods that kind of settle into a bit more dense of a wood smell is the better way to put it, because it starts off with a softwood smell in the backdrop, and as the woods and musk and stuff like that starts to come to the forefront, it becomes a bit more dense. Just beautiful stuff. 8+ hour fragrance on my skin. It's great. The color scheme to this fits the fall season. This is a fresher fall fragrance that has performance to take you on into those cool and cold evenings and days in the autumn season. Really good stuff. Happy to have it. It was nice to wear during the day. Sage and Citrus Oud from Habibi New York. Then I got the shower. I just spoke about this one recently. Decided to pull it out and wear it. David Beckham. Intimately Beckham. Beautiful scent at night. Even if you're just hanging out around the house. There's always uses and situations to wear fragrances like this. This is a $15 fragrance that I am so glad I bought, because I really like just pulling this one out, spraying it for no good damn reason, just sitting around. I have wore it to dinner once, I want to say twice, but once for sure. My wife does enjoy this one. There's not a ton of cheaper smelling fragrances that she's a huge fan of. And look, this one does smell a bit cheaper, especially smelling it directly off of skin. But out in the air, it's a lovely scent. Reminiscent of Dolce & Gabbana the One without smelling exactly like Dolce & Gabbana the One. This one's a little bit sweeter, for sure. I don't get any heavy tobacco or anything like that. It does have that ambery feel that the One has, but it's only 15 bucks. Keep that in mind. If you're on a pretty strict budget and want something evening appropriate, this might be a good one to look into. Out the shower, David Beckham, Intimately Beckham. Moving into Wednesday, I just spoke about this one as one of the beloved scents of fall for me that seems to last a pretty long time. Around 8 hours on my skin. Can't really complain. Still gives me a little bit of that aquatic summer tone with a lot more of the sweet type of feel, sweet and floral tones that I like for the fall season. We're talking about Prada Luna Rossa Ocean. Pretty good release right here. It wasn't one of my absolute favorite releases from 2021, but I definitely think it was a solid addition to the line. Prada does great with their fragrances, and they've never disappointed me in the Luna Rossa line. Every fragrance does what it's supposed to do, and this one does what it's supposed to do. It's definitely a sweeter take on a blue fragrance. Ocean's in the name. A little bit of an oceanic feel is definitely in the vibe and the scent profile, but it's not just another generic aquatic. There is a little bit of a thick, creamy sweetness in the backdrop. You get a soft, soapy type of iris here with a little bit of a powdery tone. It's not a heavily powdery fragrance. It's pretty good stuff. It's not very complex, but it's also not one-dimensional. It does change a little bit, but as per with typical designers, you get maybe 2 or 3 stages, and that's about it. You get an opening, you get a little bit of a transitional period in the heart early dry down, then you get what's in the deeper dry down you get for the majority of the life of the fragrance, which in this case, it's a little bit of sweetness and a little bit of powder with a little bit of woods. It's actually very, very nice. If you haven't tried this one yet, you really should. Especially if you like some of the other offerings from Prada. I think they did really well with this one. Underrated because not a ton of people talk about this one. I don't see a bunch of scent of the day posts on social media, but it was nice to pull this one out. This is becoming a quick favorite for me in the fall. It's Prada Luna Rossa Ocean during the day. Then, when I got out the shower, it was time for a good shave. Haven't used this set in a while. I went with Zaharoff Emperor, the soap and aftershave splash, which is a very affordable wet shaving option for Creed Aventus. Very pineapple heavy stuff right here. You see I've used a pretty good bit of it. And I like to pair it with Insurrection Pure 2. This is a fresher, more musky take on Aventus. It actually pairs really well with Emperor. I like to, anytime I use Emperor, I like to pair it with either this or Mont Blanc Explorer. Those two kind of go hand in hand with it. Well, that's more citrus and fruity heavy. A little bit of ambroxan, because you get a lot of bergamot out of that when it kind of goes hand in hand with this. Whereas this, you get a nice musky tone with some of the apple and the pineapple and such. So, and this is super cheap because you can get this for about 15 bucks. The soap's like 10 or 15 bucks, and then this fragrance is like 20 bucks. And you'll have yourself a really nice wet shaving experience at a very affordable price. Is it top tier wet shaving products? No, it's budget conscious stuff, kind of the cheapy realm of wet shaving products, but pretty good stuff nonetheless. So, out the shower, had a good shave. Went with Zaharoff Emperor and Insurrection Pure 2 from Reyane Tradition. Moving into Thursday. Haven't wore this one in a little while. It was nice to go back to. The jury's still out on if I prefer wearing this over the original, because I have both versions of the original, the Parfum Cologne and the Parfum, but when it comes to the Elysium scent profile, Samy Andraus Blue Sapphire. It's the one I wear the most. Granted, I have not been wearing it much lately. It was really nice to go back to. This is such a good fragrance. Much, much more metallic than both versions of the original. If you like that metallic citrus smell, this is the way to go. And it's so powerful. This is such a strong fragrance. I've gotten many compliments with this. I've spoke to a lot of people online that have gotten this off of my recommendation, that they say it's one of their most complimented fragrances, because that matters to some people. It's nice when people pay you a nice compliment. But the scent profile on this one alone, you take away the herbaceous elements of what makes Elysium and Aromatic Fougere. You leave all the citruses, the woods, and a little bit of leather, which I believe is labdanum. Yeah, labdanum and leather. It's got bergamot, lemon, artemisia, blackcurrant, cedar, pink pepper, labdanum, and leather. No herbs here. None of the greenery. It makes for a very fruity, citrus, metallic heavy, beautiful take on Elysium. Samy's version is the real deal. I would take this over every other clone version of Elysium personally. I do have 2 other bottles for when I run out of this. These are 1-ounce bottles. If you haven't tried this one yet, this is always the one I recommend you try from Samy if you want to dabble, because he does do samples. Get yourself a sample and try this one. During the day, Blue Sapphire from Samy Andrews Fragrance. Then when I got out the shower, I had used my soap bar, was the reason. Anytime I use a bath product or grooming product prior to spraying my fragrance, I usually like to go with that scent profile. So I'll use my Zaharoff Signature Citrine soap bar. So naturally, after my shower, I went with Zaharoff Signature Citrine. Gave myself 5 or 6 sprays, something like that. Beautiful, warm, sweet orange, limey clementine, a little bit of smoky incense, some nice amber and woods. There's a little touch of some resins here. Beautiful stuff. It's a Zaharoff fragrance. George doesn't put out busts. Everything's pretty much very good or better, and this is one of those fragrances that is at minimum very good. The only complaint I ever really hear anybody have about this one is maybe performance on their skin. It varies from person to person. I know people that get fantastic performance out of this. I know people that get terrible performance out of this. It just comes down to your skin chemistry. I know for me personally, I do get pretty good longevity, around 7 hours, but to really get a lot of projection after about 30 minutes to an hour, my skin has to heat up. This one needs the heat. It's a true freshie at its core, but it's a relatively complex, quality, gentlemanly type of fresh fragrance. Zaharoff does classy very, very well. And that's what this is. This is a classy citrus fragrance. Out the shower, Zaharoff Signature Citrine. Moving into Friday, I decided to go with Old Faithful. It always brings me joy when I wear this fragrance. I sprayed way more than I typically do. I did a little reel video on Instagram, and that wasn't all the sprays I did. That was only like 6 of the sprays. I ended up doing like 13 or 14 sprays total of Salvatore Ferragamo Acqua Essenziale Blue. The fragrance most synonymous with me and this channel. My favorite blue fragrance still. And I have a fragrance collection worth of blue fragrances. And I'm not even counting light blue fragrances. I mean stuff that would fall in the same category as this, that have a density to it. They have a sweetness. They're not just fresh citrus aquatic light blue style. I got a bunch of blue fragrances, and this is still my favorite. It's the one I'll always have. The one I'll always recommend the most. It's just good stuff. A little bit of citrus up top. Nice aromatic soapy tone to the lavender that starts to get a little powdery from some sweet tonka bean. There's a light earthy green tone to some cypriol oil that's in here. I want to say there's no ambroxan, but it smells like there could be a little bit of ambroxan in the background. Performance is very good for me. It's not a beast, but 8 hours solid every time I wear it. Really good projection the first 2 hours. Sillage isn't too shabby. I love this fragrance. Absolutely love this fragrance. I do have a 100 ml waiting in the wings for when I run through this 50 ml eventually one day. It's taking me years to go through this fragrance, and it's one I always go back to randomly throughout the year. Eventually I'll run through this 50 ml, and I'll bust out that 100 ml, and I don't know how many years it'll take me to go through that one, but I might be set for life on it. Who knows? But if you haven't tried this one yet, and you live in a city that has a Ferragamo store in a mall, for example, go see if they have a tester. Try it. Get a carded sample online. Or, I normally don't recommend blind buying, and I still don't really feel like you should just roll the dice. Just because I love this doesn't mean it's okay to blind buy it. But if it compels you, I mean, I love it personally. If you have a similar taste to me, you'll probably like this. If you like blue fragrances, you'll probably really like this. During the day, Salvatore Ferragamo Acqua Essenziale Blue. Mwah, my fave. Then we got out the shower. This has kind of been, I guess you could say, this year's Abercrombie & Fitch First Instinct together. This year's Nautica Classic. Because last year, my out the shower fragrance I wore the most was First Instinct together. Previous years, it was Nautica Classic for the longest time. Now it seems to be Ferrari Radiant Bergamot. I keep going back to this. I absolutely love it. And part of it is because I know it's going to spoil sooner than later because it has an air leak. I just wore this yesterday, and I bet it lost prime. Yep, see? It loses prime because there's an air seal leak somewhere around this atomizer. Zesty, a little fresh, spicy green, like not quite tart, but bitter citrus to it with the bergamot. A green fragrance through and through. They did right with dyeing the juice this color green. It's a very zesty green fragrance. There's petitgrain in here. I forgot what other greens are in here besides the bergamot, but man, I love it more and more with every spray. It does project pretty heavy in the first hour. I get a few hours of life out of it, and I do tend to spray it relatively heavy, for sitting around the house in the evenings to maybe film content or edit after I film during the day or whatever the case. It's usually at night when I wear this. I usually put like 6 or 8 sprays, and I don't necessarily need that much. It's strong enough that 3 or 4 sprays would work just hanging out editing at the computer, but I love going back to this one. This has turned into my favorite out the shower fragrance. That's what I wore it for on Friday. Out the shower, Ferrari, Radiant Bergamot. Moving into Saturday, today at the recording of this, I'm wearing it currently. I wore it during the day casually. I decided to wear it out the shower again because I was just enjoying it so much. I just did a video about my 5 favorite English laundry fragrances, and are they still worth grabbing in this year? I went with English Laundry Riviera all day. This is one of the older bottles. This one does perform really well. This is like a 7 or 8 hour fragrance on my skin. It lasted pretty much all day. And it smells like YSL L'Homme. It's soft, it's creamy, it's woody. There's some citrus at the top. It's very easygoing. This is a laid back, purposefully laid back type of scent profile. What do I mean by purposefully laid back? Like, it's a chill vibe scent profile, but not one that relaxes you like a lavender heavy fragrance or a tea note heavy fragrance to where you're, sluggish or too relaxed throughout your day. No, this is a chill vibe, soft scent profile where you can still get through your day, do what you need to do. It's a great work fragrance. It's great casually. Signature scent worthy type of stuff. Year round, but fantastic in the fall. This is fantastic for the fall. It's not bad in the summer. It does fine in the high heat. It just does better, in my personal opinion, in the fall season. These mild fall days where it's a little warm. In the evening, it's just a little crisp and cool. This transitions perfectly in that type of weather. That's why it was nice to wear all day. Like I said, I'm wearing 5 sprays around my neck right now. It's good stuff. It really is good stuff. It's still one of my favorites from the house. I might leave this one on the rotation table so I can go back to it again in the very near future. Whether that's the upcoming week or the following week, I don't know. But I think this is going to stay out for a little while because I've really been enjoying wearing this. If you see this out at Burlington or any of the rack stores, $13. Yeah, the newer bottles don't perform like this one, but I mean, even if you get 4 or 5 hours for $13, is it really worth complaining about for a great scent profile? It's basically why I sell L'Homme on a budget. English Laundry, Riviera. That was week number 147. And until next time, do me a real quick favor. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe. So I do appreciate all the feedback, and I love hearing from you guys. What did you guys wear this week? Those of you familiar with the format, you know that's what I'm looking for. It's my favorite comments of the week to read. This is my favorite format of the week to film every week. And I really enjoyed all of these fragrances. I don't wear stuff I don't enjoy, that reigns true in every week rotation. A lot of variety here, though a lot of stuff that's really geared towards slightly warmer fall days is pretty much what this rotation was about. And some of these I even feel are modern classics for this particular season. A few of them for sure. And until next time, I will say if you get your hands on any of the stuff I wore this past week and you give it a spray now, might end up thanking me later. Have a good one, guys.